yoga has different elements, and there are different types of yoga, okay? Now, we will focus today in something that we call the 8 limbs of yoga, which means that yoga has 8 different parts. And the physical practice is only one of 8 different elements of yoga, okay? So, the first parts of yoga, there are some principles. There are the principles that we use to live in integrity with others, that in yoga we call them the yamas. Don't worry about the names. You don't have to memorize the names. I'm putting it there because it's just to put it there. I might bring a handout next week to give you the names with everything. But it's important to remember that the foundation of yoga are principles to live in integrity with others. And this means things like no harm to others or to the planet, no stealing, no lying, no hoarding things. There are 5 principles. And those are the principles that are the foundation for us to live in integrity with others. Then we have the principles to live in integrity with ourselves. They call them niyamas. And these principles are super important because they have to do with no self-harm, being cleanliness, purifying the body by exercising. So there are 5 different principles, and I'll bring them next week for you, okay? So the foundation of yoga, there are these principles. And if we just follow these principles, we are practicing yoga, which means actually be a good person. Be a good human being, look out for others, and be in integrity with yourself. Be honest, be a decent human being. And that's the foundation of yoga, right? Those are the 2 first limbs of yoga. If we just practice this, a lot of things in our life could be aligned. Okay? Number 3 is the asana practice, which is the physical practice. And this is the one we kind of get more familiar with, the physical practice. Now, these days, yoga has become more like a fashionable thing, like gymnastics. So you see this Instagram with all these girls, skinny girls, and they do all these poses, and we look at them and say, oh, I will never get to do any of that. Right? It's like so complicated, so difficult, so perfectly aligned and beautiful. And when I look at myself, I'm like, oh man, I'm stiff, or my body. So yoga is for everyone. And that's important to remember, that yoga is for everyone. And it doesn't matter how stiff you are, it doesn't matter your body shape. We all can benefit from yoga. And the asana practice, which is the physical part of the yoga, is only one of 8 different parts. Then we have breathwork. Breathwork is yoga, which in traditional, language is called pranayama. Pranayama is the traditional ancient breathing techniques that they have been around for about 10,000 years. Now we have all this breathwork, and they call it DMT and all these sexy names, so you go to those events, and they done in a way to give you a high. All these practices here are this designed to find union, for you to find union with yourself, with what is important to you, with your children, with your family, with nature, and eventually with something bigger than what we can see here in this reality. Okay, breath work. Then, this is a weird one because it's withdrawal of the senses. So according to yoga, the mind, this one part of the mind, is called manas. You don't have to remember this. So manas is like the part of the mind that is controlled by the senses. We have 5 senses: smell, taste, touch, all these things. So what happens is that, how do you know that you exist? How do you know that you're here? Because of your 5 senses, right? That's how you know that you exist. If right now I remove all your senses, you kind of disappear. Because how do you know that you're here? How do you know you're standing? How do you know you're breathing? Because if you cannot see, if you can taste, all the smells disappears and the sounds, suddenly, boom, there's nothing. Which is very profound when you realize that. Because we know that our antennas, these 5 antennas, are very limited. So what we see is only a very short spectrum of the light. It's like this, and you have like massive spectrum of light. So when you start studying this stuff, you realize that, wow, okay, the attachment we have to our reality is I don't know, we have this attachment to the reality that actually doesn't even exist. Because everything you know, that you have experienced, that you have learned, comes through these 5 senses that are super limited. So withdrawal from the senses, called pratyahara, is something that we do to, for a moment, disconnect from your 5 senses. And you kind of disappear. And we can do that with yoga. So when you breathe in techniques, when you do breathwork or pranayama, and then you hold your breath, in that moment there is a void, there's a space there that we will get to experience here. I'm going to give you that experience, maybe next week. And when you hold your breath, suddenly, boom, it's a silence like you have never heard before. And that's because in that moment when you hold your breath, you are removing yourself from your senses, and you become like, boom. And in that moment, when the mind is quiet, the insights come in. All the stuff that comes from the wisdom and from the higher mind. Anyway, so that's part number 5 of yoga. 6 is concentration. Our ability to focus on one point. So practicing concentration is part of yoga, and there are so many different techniques we have to practice that. Like right now, half of you are in the room, the other half is somewhere else. And I say this a lot at my events, because you are where your mind is, right? You are where your mind is. So half of you are here. The other half of you are thinking about something else. And if you are thinking about something else, you are not here, And some of us are not even aware that we're not here. And what happened? The mind is not being trained to concentrate, right? So then we are somewhere else. And then if we are here, what are we doing? We are judging, observing, analyzing what's being said. You say, I agree with that, I disagree with that. And wonder where is his accent from. So the mind is working all the time. So becoming aware of that is a really good tool, because next time you are in front of your wife or with your family or with your children, you can concentrate and give them presents, which is the greatest gift you can give to your family. Otherwise, one day you wake up and you realize, oh man, my children are like 20 and they don't want to hang out with me anymore. Well, they did when they were kids, but now they're grown up. Or one day you wake up and the wife comes and says, mate, see you later. It's like, what happened? Concentration. So yoga can help you with this stuff, to become more aware where your mind is. Can you be fully present? That's a big disease today in society, that we have so much distractions, right? Distractions with the phone and with all these different things. So practicing concentration is key, and this is one of the elements of yoga. So you can be present at work. If you are at work, you are at work. If you are by the beach, you are by the beach. Because what do we do, men? We do the following. We go to the beach, and we are worried that we are not working. And then we're working, and we're worried that we're not on holidays with the family. So it's about being present wherever you are. Like right now, you're here. And the invitation for you is to be here, right? To be here and be present. And for that, we practice concentration. All these aspects of yoga we will cover, okay, in the next 5 weeks. Meditation. Meditation is yoga. It's the limb number 7. We call it dhyana. And concentration was dharana. So basically, this is like a step by step, And we start from the principles. We go to the physical practice. As we do the physical practice, we start breathing a different way. As we breathe in a different way, we go into breath work. We practice pranayama. When we practice breath work, we can disconnect from the senses, And when we disconnect from the senses, because we don't have distractions, we can concentrate. And if you concentrate long enough, what happens? You start meditating. You meditate. And if you meditate for long enough, what happens? Enlightenment, which is the 8th part of the yoga, which in yoga we call it samadhi. So enlightenment is a thing, and this is a 8-step process to get there. Will I ever get there? I don't think so. Not in this lifetime, at least. But I know that if I practice all of this, the quality of my life improves. My physical health improves. My mental health improves. My relationship with my family improves. High-level stuff. But I invite you to see how you can apply this stuff to improve the quality of your own life with the physical practice and the breathwork and all of that stuff.